One, two, 1, 2. It's your girl Regine. What it do? What it do? You are now listening to The Bold, The Brown, and the Opinionated podcast. What's up, y'all? What we talking about today? Let's get into it. Welcome back, my BB gang. It's your girl Regine, and I am back here with another one. And I am here today with Miss Rae Taylor, y'all.
Hey everyone, BBO gang.
Okay. And we got here today, y'all, because she got a new book coming out titled Creating Therapy.
Yes.
And I got a little sneak peek, y'all. And I love it. Y'all gonna love it. We're gonna get right into it. I know y'all wondering how y'all know each other. Let's get started on that. So how we met? We met in what, 2017?
Yes. Orientation for work.
Yes. Should we say what we was working at? No.
I don't know. I don't think it's.
Yeah. All right. So we ain't gonna say what company we work for, but I ain't like it.
Neither did I. I'm not there anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good. We're both not there anymore. But we kept in touch, follow each other on Facebook, kept in touch or whatever. Mm-hmm. And first of all, high five to not being there anymore. Number one, because miserable. Yes. But let's get right into it. So you are into poetry.
Yes.
And when did you first get started?
I have been writing for a really long time, since I was maybe 14 or 15 years old.
Okay.
I always love to read. So reading, that's like my number one thing. That's my hobby, reading. But I didn't really recognize it as poetry until my later teens. And I definitely was too shy to stand up in front of anybody to present it. So that took a little longer.
When did you get over your shyness?
I haven't.
Okay.
I have not. I still get extremely nervous when I do perform. But it's fun, after it's all over and I get feedback from, the people in the crowd or anything like that. I feel like, it was worth it.
Okay. So when you're first about to walk on stage, what do you do to calm yourself down? Or how do you get over that? Okay, it's just me and that person. Or how did you finally get the words out your mouth?
At first, when I first started doing it, I felt like I was rushing. I just wanted to get up there, get it out, and get off that stage. Okay. But over time, I learned to slow down. Just encouragement. People have been very kind, and I'm able to accept critique. So whenever someone tells me, oh, maybe you were a little too fast, or I couldn't understand exactly what you said in that line, then I just kind of practice at home, and I'm like, okay, I see what they meant. Or I might record myself and then look back at what I done.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. When I get up there, I'm like, okay, here it is. Just go. No turning back now.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's a good mindset. No turning back now. Do or die, as some may say. Right. Well, you made it this far, so you keep going. Yeah. You get over shyness every time you step on stage, like you said. So that's overcoming the obstacle every time. So I encourage that. So what do you think? What motivates you to keep writing poetry?
Just life. Me observing my own, everything that I went through in my life, me just taking a look back at observing it and just jotting down everything. And then eventually I kind of put it together. But I do like to sit and write one thing at once. I don't like to keep going back and forth, because I'll miss my motivation for it. Okay. So when something happens or something comes to my mind from the past, like a flashback, once I start writing, I would like to complete that piece right then and there. Okay. Yeah, because if I don't, when I go back to it, it doesn't feel as raw.
I like that. You like fresh. Soon as it comes to mind, you like to get it out. Okay, I like that. I like that, since it's fresh and it keeps you motivated. That's smart.
Yep, thank you.
That is really smart. So do you think poetry is your outlet, your release?
Oh my God, yes. Absolutely. It is my release. I'm still going to be doing poetry. I'm still going to write, but I am transitioning into, more of being a storyteller.
Right. I've noticed that from reading the sneak peek I got from reading it. Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, okay.
Yep. I'm transitioning into that also. I'm started writing I'm gonna have novels, and I want to focus more on the the kids, the teenagers, because I realize that this is an outlet. it will help. It's been helpful. I have done a few things with kids. It's called Teens Poetry and All Things Art. Okay. I have done a couple art shows. I've had a couple teenagers get up on the stage and spit, and they wrote their own pieces.
Wow.
And they were excellent, and they don't seem shy at all. They're nothing like me.
Nothing. Kids these days, yes, they got social media. They are... A lot of them are very outspoken, outgoing. How was that working with kids? And what was it? Just amazing.
It was so dope.
Really?
One of them was my daughter. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I didn't know the little girl lived upstairs on the third floor. Wrote, and she actually wrote a piece about society. And when she spit for me, I was like, "Whoa, you wrote this?" I'm like, okay, you got to do this. I need you to get a couple of your friends, and I need y'all to come up with a piece. And, they killed it. They actually, it was like my oldest daughter, she's in school for visual arts. She goes to college. Okay. So she had a couple pieces that she made, some of her paintings and stuff like that. Those were for sale. And the other girls, they got up on stage and they spit. And I mean, it was awesome. They had a great time. So,
and that is amazing.
I want to focus more on that. A lot more, but I am still going to, write.
Do yours. So do you see yourself like teaching teens poetry and how to write and how to storytell?
Yep. Trying to help them mold and to get into, their own thing and push them forward, because that's an art that we haven't pushed as much. I don't see a whole lot of encouragement in that area with our kids, because a lot of our kids are a whole lot more artistic than anything else. So they have that voice, but they don't know how to get it out. And in writing, most of the time they write and then everyone assumes that they have to rap. All of it doesn't have to turn into rap. It can be your own intimate thoughts, and you can spit it without it becoming a rap. Nothing's wrong with rap though. Love rap.
But I get what you're saying. Like, rap is so popular among our like younger generation that if you take that and maybe you can't spit like you said over a beat, but maybe you could just do it, acapella. I don't know. Acapella like without it and making it into poetry instead of making it rap, making it to the song. Yeah,
because I actually can't write to music. I have a hard time. People send me music all the time, and I'm like, I can't. For some reason, I can't write to. If I'm not in the studio with you, I can't really put nothing to this. When I'm at home, for some reason, it has to be just raw. Yeah.
See, now, Lord, if you want to become a writer for an artist, I'm like, here, this is the song. You pick a beat to rap.
Right. Exactly.
You pick a beat to sing or rap to it. Yep. True. That's a little channel avenue right there. But I'm ready to get into some stories, into some poems. Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with failure of success. So y'all, this was one of my favorites. Well, all the ones we're about to talk about is one of my favorites. But no, I really enjoyed this one because I felt like it was super relatable. You know what I mean? I feel like anybody who has something that they're passionate about and that they want to show the world, you always have that fear of, am I going to fail? Is this going to be successful? Right. Is it not going to be successful? So just explain to the people and to me, what was the inspiration behind the failure of success?
The title of the book is Creating Therapy, and I'm going to be releasing that in April of this year. But yeah, failure of success, exactly what you said. We have that fear. Like I said, I had a fear of actually getting on stage and performing any pieces that I wrote in front of people. And I mean, you really don't know how other people are going to accept it. So it's like, am I writing something that's worth listening to? At first, you want to know, is it relatable? But with failure of success, I do have a couple of did have a couple of events that a lot of people just didn't show up to, and I started to get a little discouraged, because
and I think that's
comes
normal.
with it.
Yes, exactly like you said. That's what comes with it.
That's what comes with it. And even though Pittsburgh is becoming more of a poetry society type of thing, people are becoming a little more interested into it. I have went to like DC and Philly, other places, and I see how big it is. And I've been to events in other cities, and I'm like, wow, like the crowd is really, really booming here. What's going on? Why can't Pittsburgh be a little more like this? But I guess, I'm not on social media a lot. So my following base probably isn't large enough for that. But I know enough people. I'm more of like a word of mouth person.
Okay.
And there's people who say they're going to show up and they don't. So that right there can set somebody back. It can become a little discouraging. But then on the flip side of it, it's like, well, if I don't take that risk, right, I will not get to the successful part of it. And that's what failure of success is about.
Right. And I love it. I'm telling you, it's super relatable. And I did want to ask, how do you deal with like feeling like people aren't supporting you as much as you thought or as much as you would, how do you deal with that? Because I even see in like the last part of the poem, you said you even start to create distance between you and those people.
Yeah. Initially, my first thought is like, to just be like, you know what, I'm going to just back away. And, maybe if they're not interested, that's one thing, but just say you're not coming. But me being who I am, I'm a supportive person. So I still support other people. I go to people's events when I can. I buy people's merchandise, whoever is selling something, because I'm just not that type of person. I don't want to be like, oh, you didn't come to my stuff, so I ain't go to yours. That's kind of petty, but that do be my initial thought. I ain't gonna lie. That's the petty side of me. Like, okay, you don't want to come to my stuff, I'm not dealing with you. But that doesn't stay in my mind for too long.
Just a thought. And
it's just a thought.
Just keep it pushing. Yeah. So do you feel like you do start to create space, or you're just like, giving everyone the benefit of the doubt?
At first, initially I will create space. I will back away. But again, it won't be for long.
Yeah.
I'm like a softie.
You're like, all right, on to the next event. Like, can you come to this? Because that's I think like that's what I even learned even with my podcast. Like, everybody's not going to share everything. Everybody's not even going to like every episode. Every episode isn't for every person.
Right.
And like you just basically just can't take it personal. But I agree with this poem 100% because it's like you wouldn't know unless you did it. Unless you're going through it, unless you, like you said, unless you have something to sell. Got something that you're passionate about. That's when you'll really feel like, okay. And in the beginning, you do start to feel like, damn, like what's up? Like, I thought we was better than that. But I just learned you can't take it personal. You know what I mean? Right. And everybody got, everybody really nowadays got something that they're passionate about. They're trying to get out there. They're pushing towards the media. So I try to support any way I can. And, I try to worry.
Lovely.
And I try to worry about the people who supporting me. Like forget, even you said that in the poem. You said worry about the ones who did show up. And I agree with that. Like, worry about the ones who are, supporting you, who are coming to your shows, who are, showing that support that you want and need. Those are the ones that really matter at the end of the day. And then when you do, whatever pop off, them are the ones you're going to remember.
Right, yeah. Because there are people who do show up consistently, and like you said, you can't take it personal. Everybody right now is out here trying to do something, sell something. They found their voice finally. I mean, and, I am going to say, especially in our culture, because we have grew up to learn to live to survive and not to look forward to like future endeavors as much. And now that everybody's kind of like, oh, I don't have to just survive for today and tomorrow. I could do something for the long term. So now everybody's coming out of their shell.
Right.
It's absolutely lovely. I love it. I love to see all of these new creations. I just would like for everybody to support each other a little more.
I agree. Everyone can support everyone, no matter what. Even if it's two, like I had my last episode, Woman Behind the Brand featuring Tavea and her lashes. Even if someone else has lashes, share their pictures, share their deals. They share their pictures. Exactly. Like, let's collab, do it, you know what I mean, together. Like, no, friendly competition. Like, even though you're my competitor, we can still be cool, still be, you know what I mean,
be motivating each other.
Exactly. All right, you ready to get into another one?
Let's go.
All right, let's get into Tightrope.
Okay,
let me pull up Tightrope. So you said you wrote Tightrope a while ago, right?
Yes.
How long ago you think you wrote that?
Let me see. This is probably about 2 years old.
Okay, 2 years.
Yeah, it's not too old, but it's about 2 years.
Okay, 2018. And explain Tightrope to the people who don't know, because I got, again, a little sneak peek. So,
okay. So Tightrope is basically about me being a single parent, and how, how hard and difficult it looks to stand on top of a tightrope and walk that line. And that's what came to mind whenever I compared me parenting, because things have been, challenging, of course. But the line that I know that you love out of here is balance, focus, head up, look straight ahead, because you can't do nothing else but that. You know what I mean? No matter how challenging the circumstances may be, you still have to parent, or you should still be willing to parent, because some people just be like, I'm done. And if you choose to continue to parent, know that it's not going to be easy.
Right.
And you just have to try to find as much balance as you can and keep your head up when you're walking. And, just keep pushing.
And that's exactly what I got from that poem. Like, I was like, well, I don't have kids, but I was just like, wow, thinking about, some of my friends who are also like single mothers. And I was just like, they need this. I was like, they need this book. They need this, because it was just, I felt like it was just so motivational. Like, even like you like talking to yourself, and then you like walking into like, I don't want to give the poem out, but even you saying like, I'm breastfeeding, I'm cooking, doctors with this, like everything, mothers have to do. And I just feel like this was so motivational.
Thank you.
It really was. It was like, so I'm like, wow, like that's, it was just beautiful. It was, I don't know, it was good. And I feel like you walked it through like each child too. It seemed like, was that also some of the motivation behind this?
So just a little piece of each child, the experience I had with, each child. Like my first daughter, her father was murdered before I had her. So a lot of the things I write is revolved around that, because she's 20 years old now, and we have been through a lot. He's been gone for 20 years, but it's still like fresh. Right. And she still has the issues every now and then. And that's just something that, that's part of the process. And it's not nothing that's easy. You don't get over that in a day. You don't get over that in a couple of years. Listen, it's been 20 years and we still are dealing with a lot. It's very traumatic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that I could tell everyone now, a lot of the things that I write does revolve around that situation, because it's therapeutic for me to get it out. And, it's just therapeutic for me to get it out. And it's necessary, because I'm not the only one who's been through this.
Right.
And she's not the only child who's been through it.
Right.
But I can only tell my part of the story. She would have to tell her own. She's very, not exactly closed in, but she doesn't really, she's real nonchalant and laid back and chill. So she doesn't really talk about her feelings that much. She's just kind of like, every now and then we'll talk about it, but... And my second daughter's father, he just chooses not to be around. So that's that. And I know I'm not the only one who
not at all
deal with that either.
It's still unfortunate.
I
don't want to like downplay by saying not at all. I didn't mean it like that.
No. That's just, it's unfortunate, that he chooses to do that. He has just her. She's his only child. And we were friends since middle school, and I thought that things would be a little different. So I don't write a whole lot about that situation, because it's like, okay, this was his choice. Move on. I don't want to give him that much of my energy.
Right. Okay.
So I don't.
Okay.
And then my third daughter, I was married, and that ended the way it did. It was very, very traumatic, and I'm still dealing with things. So yeah, I mean, this tightrope has a little bit of everybody
each daughter, Yep. What you want to do next? So I'm picking my phase, but let me give you opportunity. This is your book here in therapy.
Okay, let's talk about evolved woman just a little bit, since we're on a topic of women, single moms.
Right. Okay, evolved woman, Rae. Tell us about that.
Okay, so this is about the evolution of a woman. Not everyone is going to experience these things in the exact order that I have them, or some of these parts just may not even be in your life at all. But just for the first two lines, it starts like, you don't know what being a woman entails until you run out of other options. I am a girl child observing and learning to do as I see. So that right there kind of like set it off to the beginning. I'm a girl child, and this is what I seen. This is what I think is okay. Right. And this is what I learned from it. Right. So each little part of it, is about that. Like, I'd start with being an alcoholic, loving to drink, and then you just kind of learn from it. So I go into being alcoholic.
What about let's go back to I'm a child observing and learning to do as I see, because I feel like as women it's so strange, because even little girls, like I feel like we're just born mothers. Like it's so weird. Like boys are not born fathers. Like nothing against men, but a little girl just will come out and just do things and say things so differently as like, you know, just like a little woman already, and a boy is like completely opposite. So is that was like a little bit what you meant, like I'm a child already observing, like
right, because we kind of are born with that nurturing gene, and I think there are boys who are observant as well, but we observe and copy immediately, you know. And that's a lot of what I meant. So as I'm watching things that go on around me in my environment, I'm like, oh, this is okay. So, I can't, everybody thinks, you know, they can't wait to turn 21 to be grown, to do things. Well, I just was able to go to bars and things early. I seen people in the family and people close to me getting drunk. So I was like, oh, okay, this is the thing to do.
Right.
And you know,
and how old was that?
It was easier to get in the bars back in the
Oh, really?
It was a lot easier. Oh, yeah.
Why was it easier?
Because family, certain family members knew the bouncer at the door. They'd be like, oh, that's my little cousin. She good. And that was that. And I'm in there.
And you got served alcohol
I'm in
too?
there.
Easy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 14, 15. Yeah. In there. No problems at all. Nobody had to exchange money. It just was, she's with me. And it was just that simple, you know?
Right.
But then that opened up doors to so many other things that I seen too much at that age that I shouldn't have seen, you know? So yeah, I rushed, and I seen things that I shouldn't have seen, basically. Right.
And do you feel like right, by rushing and getting into the bars, and we all have been 14 and 15 wanting to be grown, and do you feel like that had like a negative impact on like how you grew up by seeing those things, or a positive in retrospect?
On my Libra scale, I'm gonna say both.
okay. No, that's cool, because I was thinking that too. Thinking that.
I'm gonna say both, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I say negative impact because it pushed me into wanting to be faster, quicker. Because I wanted to keep up with my older cousins and the friends that people was around, all of them that were older than me. I wanted to keep up with what they were doing. So having sex, just, you know, doing things that, being around people that, nothing wrong with being around the people I was around. It was just, they were doing things that was a little out of my league.
Okay.
You know,
that stuff they should have been doing, but not you watching and being around. Okay.
They should have been telling me like, man, if you don't go home, you at school, get out of here.
Right.
You know, it was more like encouragement to come right on along, you know? And
do you think do you think they were doing it to show you like this ain't what you want, or you think it was like, no, this is what you want, like you?
I honestly don't think they thought about it either way. It was just like, oh, you want to come on.
Okay.
It wasn't because I was asking to go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Can I come? You know, we'd be down on, you know, on the hill, Center Avenue, Todd's, L&M, all of them little bars down there. Was easy to get in there. Easy.
Okay.
You know, but I'll say the positive outcome from it is my mindset right now.
Right.
Because I had the opportunity to be around people, and even in them environments, I observed a lot and talk a lot, because even the conversations were out of my league. You know what I mean? I would sit and listen, and I would pick up information, and I have it stored.
Okay, so if it ever come up again, I know a little bit about this, a little bit about that.
I was storing information because these is conversations people, you know, are having, and they're adults, and I'm a child. And my brain is a child's brain, and they're, you know, I understood what they were talking about, but I couldn't lead that conversation.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So yeah,
I like that. So okay, let's dig a little deeper. So you went from you go good. Lead the story.
Okay. Yeah. So that's that first part, being an alcoholic, and some of this is probably crazy. And when I first presented this, I was like, oh God, do I want to say this? But I wrote it, so I said it. The second part of it is I'm a bad bitch. Okay, so I think we all kind of go through that phase where it's like we untouchable. You know what I'm saying? Especially, you know, the people you may be hanging around, and maybe the boyfriends that you have, You know, they make you feel like you're untouchable. Like, I'm a bad bitch. You can't fuck with me. You know what I mean? Right. And it's like, that's the wrong mentality to have. You can't walk around like that. You know? So, I mean, but I went through that phase. And
what was that phase like? Feeling like you was untouchable and I wish a mother would.
Yeah, I mean, it was always pretty quiet. Like, I've never been like a super rowdy person, but I felt like I couldn't be bothered. Like, nobody is going to do anything to me. I was well protected growing up. You know, like, I did have a lot of cousins who would just pop out of nowhere and be like, oh, who's fucking with you? And I mean, I never had any real big problems with anybody because of either my family status or the men that I was dealing with, excuse me. Just made it a little easier for me to glide through that part right there. Okay. You know, I never started any trouble because that's not me. But it did make me feel like, oh, okay, I'm protected. I'm good. Right. You know? Right. Yeah, that's what that was about.
So is that a good time in your life, or how did you were living unapologetically?
Yeah, in that moment, when you in that moment, yeah, it was wonderful. I was having the time of my life when, you know, in that moment. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's a negative. It could be a negative and a positive, because now I don't encourage my kids to think like that. I don't care how protected you are. You know, just don't think like that. That's that was just a bit much. I was being a little over the top with that, you know. But that's how a lot of people walk. See, some women will walk around and you can see the attitude in them. You couldn't see the attitude I had with me like that unless you started something with me. Now, you started some shit with me, then you may have seen it. Other than that, you didn't see. I didn't like walk. I didn't act like I was too good to talk to people or anything like that. But there are some women who are like have that title. Yeah. So I wasn't quite that bad.
Right. No, I didn't think. Bad. Yeah, I thought exactly how you explained it, because there's people walking around saying I am a bad bitch, and not even really feeling like they're a bad bitch. You know what I mean? They're saying it just because they want to feel like that, but they really don't. So I get now. I get exactly how you meant.
Yeah.
And the third part?
All right. So third part. Now, my sister, when I read this to her, one of my sisters, I have 5 of them. But when I read this to her, she was like, are you going to say that in front of people? And I was like, yep. Just because she said it, you know, every time I write something that I feel like is a little risky, I read it to her, because her response tells me how the crowd is going to react. Okay. So I'm like, just because you reacted like that, I'm leaving it in here, you know? And then everybody's going to take this the wrong way. But it is what it is. So the third part of it says, I am a hoe. So, and it also says, it's not for you to say, it's not for you to know. So that part of it basically is real straight to the point. I was in a relationship. That relationship comes to an end, and I move on. I never really had a high tolerance for the bullshit. So if you're not interested anymore, if you start talking to somebody else, you know, whatever, get caught cheating, or you become disrespectful, or if you try to abuse me, I'm gonna leave you that quick. I'm out. Right. And when I leave, you know, eventually I'm gonna meet somebody else.
On to the next one. On to the next. But is that really considered a hoe? I know in today's generation now, I feel like they're trying to recoin, you know, redefine the word hoe or whatever. But I don't know. I think relationship to relationship, that I don't know if that's really a hoe. I think a hoe is more so, you know, border. Like, what is a hoe, actually? Why don't you tell me? Why don't you tell me, since you got it in your book? Tell me what a hoe is.
That's a great question, because I don't have the exact definition. A hoe is a garden tool.
Okay, exactly.
But you know the stigma. Right. If a woman had, you know, they want to tell you had more than 5 partners, then you're a hoe, you know. And it's like, well, you know, so it's written to be an attention grabber for one, which it does. It grabs attention. As soon as I say that, everybody's like, oh, did she just say that? Yes, I did. Because this is what you're already going to think of me once you see in my lifetime how many boyfriends
But I love you couldn't have picked a better sentence after that. Can you say it one more time for us?
Okay. I am a hoe. It's not for you to say, it's not for you to know.
Period. It's not for you to say, meaning even if I'm choosing to call myself a hoe, she's choosing to call herself a hoe. It's not for you to say. Mm-hmm. So don't, say it back. And it's not even for you to know.
Right. Why do you know my business? Exactly. Why are you in it? Yeah.
Exactly. So what was your thought even making that second sentence right after that like that?
Basically just how you felt when you just repeated it. Mm-hmm. It's not you can't approach me in that way because I don't carry myself that way. But I haven't been in one relationship my whole entire life, and people look at women differently than they do men. So me and another man can have been in the same amount of relationships or friendship, whatever you want to call it, and I'm the one who would be called a hoe. Mm-hmm. So that's unfortunately, that's just how it is. If somebody wants to try to get at you or, make fun of you or call you names, that's the name that they'll pick. Mm-hmm. Although they probably, it wouldn't bother me at my age. I don't give a shit. It wouldn't bother me. But before, maybe, back in the day, I probably would have been like, what you call me? But now, I mean, it just is what it is. That's just part of growing up.
Right.
You look back and be like, well, if people knew, they probably would say I was a hoe.
Mm-hmm. I love how you just said that. Like, what if they knew? Mm-hmm. I love that. What's the next part?
I am a victim. Not intentionally. I just happen to be in love and attached to the one who beats me. Mm. So that part is basically just, it's that. You're not intentionally being a victim. You don't step into a relationship expecting to get either physical, mentally, verbally, whatever one, abused. So that one, I do go a little more into saying how the verbal abuse overpowers the physical. And I say that because I'm not downplaying anyone who gets physically abused a lot. Mm-hmm. It's just that the mental scars are a little harder to get rid of. And somebody can say things to you. Once they get to know you and they know how to push your buttons and they know how to get at you, they can try to lower your self-esteem. Right. And they can say certain things, and those things never leave your head. Right. It's always in the back of your head. Not downplaying physical, because I've been there too. Those bruises heal, and although you will always remember that, the words that he's saying while he's hitting you, those cause more trauma. Yeah, because you never forget. You never forget. You carry that on forever, and there's certain things that I have blocked out in my life, but a lot of the things that this guy has said to me, it's just there. And when if you ever have a down moment, a dark moment, those are the words that come up in your head. It really is. I think it's the way people say it too, and the way they use it. So a person who, like this guy, he pretty much is a narcissistic. He's controlling and everything else. And he knew exactly how to say things to get to me. Even I could sit up here and I'd be like, you're not enough. But you're like, you could brush that off because of how I said, but when he puts so much emphasis and emotion into it, it means, especially when it comes from someone that initially, acted like they were oh so in love, and, you've done things with this person, for this person, and, you thought y'all was in it, thick as thieves. And then when they turn on you, and say these things to you, it just, I don't know, for some reason, those sticks. Are the things that stick. Because you know what? I think I'll say that one comment kind of cancels out all of the I love yous. It's like, did you ever really, so you never meant you love me. You always wanted to say this. You had this in the back of your head for a long time. So it kind of cancels out. I get it now when you say I get that. But why I know we can't come up with the answer why, but it's like, why is that? Yeah. I get that. I get that makes we just cancel that out. Right. Because now that final statement, that's what we remembering over everything else. It's like, forget everything else you told me. It's unfortunate.
Yes, just for someone to make you feel worthless. That's what they really want to do. Tear you down, make you feel worthless, make you feel unloved. I'm the one who loves you. No one else cares about you. No one else loves you. You know what I mean? It's me or you. So you really start to feel like that. Like,
yes, you do.
I've watched enough, and enough Destiny's Child, like, you know, and any woman right now, even listening to this, going through any type of abuse is abuse, okay?
Period.
Mental, physical, whatever type of abuse you're going through, I hope you find the strength right now to leave that situation.
Please walk away.
Yes.
You'll be so much better. And then there's so many different techniques. Just a little bit more about that part. There's a lot of different techniques. Now, when I wrote this, Creating Therapy, it was because I was observing my own self and I'm trying to fix myself. You know what I mean? I've never been a believer in therapy, as many of us aren't.
I wanted to get into that too at the end.
But as of about, I guess, a month ago, I have had a couple sessions with an actual therapist. And I felt like I came to the point where I felt it was necessary. And, you know, by meeting with her, I have learned a couple of techniques that you can do whenever you start to feel like you're in that dark space. So, you know, you can go seek a therapist. You know what I mean? Read my book because you're going to be there. You're going to get some therapy from that too.
Yes.
But if you feel like you really need to help, especially anybody who's in any type of abusive situation, seek help because it's really necessary. You need that for your mind, because you really, seriously, on a real serious note here, you can get sick from stress. If you let somebody talk to you and beat on you that much, you can have a stroke. You can have, you know, all types of complications can come about from, like, you're going to have the migraines, because I used to get migraines every day. I could look at a text message from this person, I would instantly get a migraine because he had that type of effect on me. And just all types of stuff. Like, I would literally get sick, get nauseous. Those things turn into real health issues. So please, if you're getting abused, go seek help. Talk to somebody. Don't hold it in. You hold it in, you're going to get sick.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Is there anything else you want to speak of as far as Evolved Woman? Because if not, I'm going to get into the book and how you created the title.
Okay. The last two parts of it is about being a believer. So, you know, you want to thank God. Your faith is a lot of what can get you out of whatever your faith is. Whoever you pray to, it can get you out of a lot of trouble. Thank God for grandmas. Yes, I'm telling you. So the next piece on this poem is called "I Am a Mommy." So then I talk about becoming a mom, and you know that the greatness of being a mom. So that's the last piece on that poem.
So that is Evolved Woman. She just broke it down for y'all. Beautiful, beautiful. That was a great one. I think that is like was it in the beginning? Yeah, it's towards the beginning. That's a great like introduction into the woman, you know, you were, and to who you evolved to you know, to become. And I'm going to get into creating therapy and why you even wanted to write a book.
Okay. This is actually my second book. The first one is called My Poetry is Private.
Okay, I have that in my notes too. So take us to My Poetry is Private first.
Okay, so I'm actually going to revise that one. This is going to sound probably a little crazy to people, but I kind of dare myself to do stuff. Okay. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to put these poems together, and, you know, you can go on Amazon and create your book, and there you have it, voila. Now, my poetry, I don't want nobody trying to fix, so I'm not getting no editors and nothing like that. Now, when I get into my novels more, I'll get into somebody proofreading. So my Poetry is Private came about because I always kept it private. I always kept it to myself. And I'm like, okay, people are starting to tell me, like, you're really good at what you do. You know, I don't know why we need that type of, you know, validation from people, but it just feels better when you know that you're writing something with a message and that people actually enjoy. So I did. I'm like, I'm going to turn this into a book. I didn't advertise it a lot. I didn't make a big deal out of it. It's still on Amazon. It's still being sold. But now I look at it and I'm rereading it and I'm like, I'm going to make some revisions. I'm going to take some things out, you know, I'm going to edit it myself and then I'm going to put it back out there. So, yeah, I mean, it was kind of like me daring myself to do something, and I did it. And I just wanted to see, you know.
Yeah, so that's like your first little baby. Yeah. So that's your first baby. So creating therapy, this is your second baby, right?
Yes.
Tell us about this therapy. And how this came about.
So it's the full title, Creating Therapy, a book of compendious stories and poems.
Look, let me tell y'all real quick, Rae. I was on Google like, all right, let me see how to pronounce this word, compendious. Say it for me again.
Compendious.
A book of compendious stories and poems.
Yes.
Okay.
It's just short stories.
Yeah.
I just like to be complicated sometimes. Instead of putting short stories. I just wanted to make it
different. I like it.
It has to be catchy.
Because it made me want to, go and learn like, well, damn, maybe I need to expand my vocabulary. So I was on Google looking up the definition and, learning how to pronounce it. No, I keep it like that.
I love that you said that because every time I read a book, I expect to not know something in that book. And I want to learn from it. So that is one of the reasons I did choose that word, because I want people to look at, there's a couple words in here that, I didn't know myself that I'm going to use that. You find out what it means and you put it in there because I want other people to look into it the same way I read.
And I appreciated that. I love learning.
I'm glad that you caught that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's get back to we keep all these tangents. Let's go. Okay. Creating Therapy. Okay. Say the full title for us one more time.
All right. Creating Therapy, a book of compendious stories and poems.
Period. And how did this come about? Okay. You said my poetry is private was your baby.
Yes.
This is your second baby?
This is my second baby. Because I have, so back to real quick, daring myself. So I'm going to make this as short as possible. The first annual Brown Mama Monologues, I dared myself to sign up for it, and I got a call back, and I went through the process, and I was able to become one of the speakers in that very first show.
Okay.
And that
how did that make you feel? How was that?
Oh, listen, it was one of the best experiences in my life.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I was super nervous when I went in there. I wrote a story called "My Lost, My Love" about my oldest daughter and her father. And when I went in there, I had no idea I would break down the way I did.
Wow.
So when you stand in front and you're going through the process, you have to speak in front of these people so that they can determine if they want you. She wants you to be a part of her show. And I was like bawling. I couldn't stop crying. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this?
And this was like the first in front of the judges?
Yes, in front of the judges and the other ladies who were involved. Okay. And so I did get the call back, and I was like, okay, this is great. And I know none of these women. I don't know not one of them. But we became really close, and we encouraged people, and it was beautiful. I had a wonderful time doing it. And, we still speak to each other and try to help each other as much as we can to this day.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I had, when I started writing shorter stories, out of the poem room, I figured, I'll turn this book into not just poetry, but make it short stories as well. So, that's how this book came along. And then I have some little brief little things, little quotes that I say.
Okay, yeah. I like your little quotes. I like your little quotes, my thoughts.
Yeah. I just put just something different, I did want to add more pictures to it, but I didn't get the opportunity to do that. So maybe the next time I will.
Okay, maybe a third baby.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what is your ultimate goal as a storyteller, a poet? What is your ultimate goal for you?
The ultimate goal is to, get a hold of the younger generation and help them tell their story. Because if I would have had guidance and, a little more oversight, things that happened in my life probably wouldn't have. I can't say that they wouldn't have, but I would have thought about it before I done it. There's a lot of things I look back, and not that I regret it because it made me who I am, but I might look at something in the past and say, wow, I could have did this differently. Okay. And, it brings me to accountability. I want these girls to know and learn that you are accountable for your actions. I tell my kids all the time, even the 6-year-old, if something happens at school or you get into a fight, whatever, when I ask you what happened, I want you to start telling me what you did before you tell me what the other person did to you. Start the story with, I smashed her head on the ground. Then you can tell me why, even if she hit you first. I want to know what you did, because it's something about the way when you speak about what you did, when you hear yourself say it out loud, you start to realize,
what you did.
I did do that.
Right.
That's why I make them do that.
I love that. I love it.
I make them tell me what they did first. Then we can go into the rest of the story, and then we can talk about ways that it could have been handled differently. So I like the idea of them getting a chance to write out how they feel. I think it'll prevent a lot of suicides. I think it'll prevent a lot of, thievery, robbery, whatever it is that they're out here doing. I think it'll prevent that if they have somebody who just gives them an opportunity to talk about how they feel. Instead of you be quiet, you're the child, you don't have a voice. That's not true. They do have a voice. We need to hear it.
Right.
I love need to hear it. Yeah.
And this would be, like you said, even like a great outlet for the kids who feel like they don't have anything else to do. Like you said, like, maybe they're not into any sports. Maybe they don't want to be in the streets. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, I just want something. Maybe I can't. I don't know. Maybe I'm not the smartest person in my, in my grade. Like, I need something, and this is great. So, like, do you want to encourage? Even you said your oldest daughter, they put their friends together with your second daughter, and put their friends together. Would you encourage like them to even write a book and take their outlet further?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Listen, my 6-year-old writes books. She be at home. She be like, can you staple this for me? She puts all these papers together. She folds it. She creates a story. So we eventually going to work on her. But yes, I definitely want them. But I love when they have a collaboration piece, my daughter and my niece. And they kind of like tag team. They go back and forth. Okay. I think that's real good too, because it's just you just have to see it. Once I put another event together, I'm definitely going to let you know.
Okay, you let me
so
know.
You can see it for yourself, because they're so dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They really are. That's my ultimate goal. I really want them. I want to get a hold of them and encourage them and mold them. And personally, for me, of course, I would love for my work to be known all over the world, not just here in the United States. I want my work to be known out there, like, all of it. My stories, my novels, they'll be coming soon. I started already. I just got to complete those. Yeah, I mean, I love to write, and I want people to see when I'm writing down.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. So, all right, y'all, Creating Therapy. Let them know, Rae Taylor, where they can get the book and get the stories from. You said it's in April, so let them know when they can get it and where.
Okay, so I am publishing this on lulu.com. I am working on creating my own website so I can have it on there. So I will post that once it's completed. But right now, once it drops, it will be on lulu.com. Yeah.
And do you have a release date yet, or just in April for now?
Toward the end of April. I'm shooting for April 27th.
Okay, April 27th, y'all. And I will leave her information in the description. And I'll also, whenever the book comes out, I'll also release it onto my Instagram and on my Facebook to anyone listening who follows those, so you can go there as well. Do you want us to follow you on Facebook or do you say you don't?
Follow me.
Tell us
follow
your Instagram,
me.
everything.
Follow me. It's okay. This is the thing. People sometimes be messaging me and saying stuff to me, and I don't get back to them right away, and they feel some type of way. I'm like, I don't be on here every day. I just don't. But on Facebook, who am I on Facebook? I'm Rae Taylor, RAE Taylor, TAYLOR. And on Instagram, I am My Poetry is Private. So, yeah, if I don't respond right away, it is not because I'm ignoring you. I just don't be on there as much.
Right. Y'all, and make sure y'all go out and support any events you have, any future endeavors. Let us know what we can do to support you. And again, thank you so much for being on the Bold, Brown, and Opinionated podcast.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. And until next time, my BBO gang, deuces.
Peace.
Lastly, I want to encourage my listeners to be all that you were meant to be with your boldness, to love the skin that you're in with your brown.